Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you. It's on you, it's on you, it's on you.
What's going on, you guys? This is Romi and Sam, and you are listening to the Mindset Rebooted podcast.
And if you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for stopping by. Here on the Mindset Rebooted podcast, we like to have conversations that help us to elevate the way we think. And what that means is that we have old ways of thinking that have held us back in the past, and we like to take on new ways of thinking that help us to maximize our full potential and to become the best versions of ourselves.
So if you get any value from today's episode, please share it with at least one person so we can help more people. Now, today's episode is going to be very interesting because I actually get to ask Sam a lot of questions. For those of you who don't know, Sam is a United States Navy veteran, and while he was in service, he was, in his words, a successful counselor or career counselor.
Yes.
And so when I hear successful or successful, I want what does that mean? What is a successful career counselor in the Navy?
Yeah, so we often hear the saying, hey, treat others the way you'd want to be treated. A successful career counselor is going to treat others the way they want to be treated. What you're going to do is get to know people. You're going to actually understand what it is that they want out of life, what it is that they want if you're in the Navy, what it is that they are looking for. Because ultimately, everyone wants to feel in some way, shape, or form that they are being successful. So for me, the first thing is I need to get to know you. And everybody is different. So that means that I can't really just apply a one-size-fits-all type of method to everybody. I really have to tailor how I deal with people and how I go about changing their lives based on what they want. So one, successful means I am meeting the requirements of my job as assigned by the Navy, by my leaders.
What does that mean? When you says requirements, you met with X amount of sailors?
I would have to do quarterly reports. I'd have to do career development boards periodically with sailors. I had to, help people with prepping for their advancement exams. I had to inform my leaders about the status of different programs. I had to meet certain retention rate quotas, things like that, right? So understanding the basics of my job requirements, right? That's key in being successful. The other key in being successful is being present, right? Showing up is half of the job, right?
People say the greatest ability is availability.
Right? And so I know that would seem like it goes without saying, but it doesn't, because there's a lot of people who just don't show up. I've had too many people complain about their leaders or even career counselors that were my predecessors, saying hey, when I needed this person, they weren't there. They were nowhere to be found. This person was always gone. I pride myself on being available for the people that I'm, serving, right? Or else I'm not really providing a good service. So those were some of the other things. But touching back on the other point of getting to know my sailors, some people, they only wanted to do maybe 4 years. Some people, they wanted to do a whole career. Some people didn't like the current job that they were doing. It wasn't their dream job. They did it to enter into the military because that was what was available at the time, but they wanted to learn how they can transition to this other position. Some people wanted to become an officer. Some people wanted to know, how can I make the most money possible while I'm doing this, right? There's different things that different people want. And so understanding what made them tick is what allowed for me to do the proper research so that I could provide them with the proper response.
Yeah, and I want to stay on that real quick, because I think a lot of our listeners, they're probably employed, they're probably trying, I'm pretty sure everyone wants to be in a leadership position.
Yeah.
Or you might be self-employed and you want to hire and take on other people, right? And so can you kind of expound more, how did you get to that point of wanting to know each person individually? Because, we all hear it everyone's unique, but to actually put it into practice, and to put it into practice in a way that made you a successful counselor, those are two very different things.
Yeah, I think one, because I genuinely care about people, I think that's the first thing. It's not it's kind of like the analogy of, or not the analogy, but it's kind of like anybody who's in sales will tell you like, hey, you have to know your product, and oftentimes selling to somebody, it's really about building the relationship with them, right? Being a trusted source. So like for me, I naturally like to get to know people. So when I entered that position, I didn't want to be anything other than who I was, which was Sam, who genuinely cares about people. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that was how I approached it. Was I genuinely care about people?
Yes.
So I'm gonna do that too.
Okay.
In my job.
Okay, and so that's the mindset you had going into it.
Yeah.
So now how do you actually become successful? Because successful is that like you're just meeting your requirements, or you're exceeding your requirements, being above average compared to your peers?
Well, that's for each person that's different.
Yeah.
For me, it was being above average, excelling, right? And so what that meant was not just doing the basic duties that were listed in the job description, right? It meant, hey, at all hours of the night, I was doing whatever it took. Because, for example, when I was a career counselor, I was overseas. So a lot of times I had to correspond with Big Navy, which was stateside. We were in 2 different time zones. So that meant that when it was daytime for me, it was nighttime for them. When it was nighttime for me, it was daytime for them. So literally in the evening, I'm making calls, I'm sending out emails, and this is all after work hours, because I knew that this person's re-enlistment bonus was on the line. This person really, really needed this because it was super time sensitive. Things like that is what I pride myself on, because I could have just been like, oh, well, it was outside of working hours. I did what I had to do. I met the book. I can't be in trouble. But when you're in a role like that, it's not about getting in trouble versus not being in trouble. It's about, if my job is to help people, how can I help them in the best possible way? And that means that I have to sacrifice because I'm serving others.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And touching on Big Navy, right? So big picture, why is it important for people in leadership positions or who want to become leaders to kind of approach things similar to what worked for you?
If they want to be leaders, or if they're in leadership positions,
yeah,
right? We've all heard, to whom much is given, much is required.
I've actually haven't heard.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay. Well, great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, I got you. All right, Uncle Ben, I got you.
Uncle Ben. And really, just following that school of thought, that's really what it's about, right? If you think about leadership, and you think about it anywhere, especially in the military, think of it as a pyramid. At the lower level, you have all the lower ranking people, but the higher in rank you get, the less of you there are. So,
you mean less of staff, or less of time that you have to be able to interact with people?
Well, technically both, but less people filling that specific pay grade.
Oh, okay.
And so that means that if you are a leader, or you should know, that there's only but so many of you that can go around. So it means that you're gonna have to pour more of your time to meet the needs of your people. But you have to be okay with it. You can't just be like, okay, I have the shiny anchor on my collar, and so I made it. Because a lot of people, they like ranking up because they like the feeling of being pompous and being high status, not having to do grunt work.
The extra chevron on.
Yeah, extra chevron, getting paid more, things like that. But really, it's about servant leadership. It's about, how can I serve others now that I have more power, now that I have more of a say-so? For me, as I got higher in rank, I would think about all the crappy experiences that I had, and I was like, all the things that I wish were different, how can I change that now that I have more power to do so? And that's what leaders should be doing. They should be looking at how things are and how they can improve. You always have to be in the mindset of, I must challenge the current process. That's what a transformational leader does. They always challenge the process. You are not in a position of leadership to keep things the status quo. You are always in that position to change things for the better. And so that's what it takes to be a successful leader.
from that perspective of liking people and wanting them to succeed and doing all this work, what were some of the great outcomes that you saw from all this?
I had more advancement than a lot of people did.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry. People moved up in rank, right? I had people who
you were known for ranking up quick.
I was known personally for ranking up quick.
Yeah.
Right. I went from E1 to E6 in 3 years. Some people are like, how is that even possible? You could tune into one of our other episodes of my channel.
Yeah, we detailed that.
We detailed it.
That's your quick plug.
It's a quick plug, right? And so that's the case, right? And so I was able to share that with other people and help them advance as well. I also was someone who helped people to study and prepare for different things. I'm sorry, what was your question? Because the plug.
What was like the outcome? Like,
the outcome.
Because all this input.
Yeah.
What was the output?
Yeah, the outcome.
Like, let's wrap it up with the output.
Output. Yeah. So advancement, 100% retention under my tenure as a career counselor. 100%.
Anybody, I don't think that's the number that you ever see in retention.
Yeah, no, and trust me, it's well documented. I've been awarded for that. 100%. Anybody who was up for advancement, or anybody, who was up for re-enlistment, I had 100% retention, right? So that was some of the output. And then also helping people change careers. Some people, they were like, nah, it's easier for you to just stay because it didn't require any paperwork. But I had people transition into roles where they actually were happier and they were able to serve our country in a healthier way, something that kind of aligned with their talents. So those are some of the outputs that I had, really.
Yeah. This is a quick preview of some of the things that you have done that worked for you as a career counselor. I definitely want to review this, or not review, but part two this. What's that? The R word I'm trying to find for this part two.
An R word for part two?
Circle back to this, not R word. But I definitely want to circle back to your experience as a successful career counselor, because I feel a lot of people, there's I told you this before, some leaders, when they see someone coming up, they get defensive and try and shut that person down, because that leader is insecure about their position. They think they won't have a job anymore. Whereas if we flip that mindset, reboot it, and think about abundance, if you're coming up and you could fulfill my role, you're giving me the opportunity to move on to another role that's higher.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear from this, because your input of helping people succeed helped you rank up quickly, and it also helped Big Navy retain great sailors.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you got great value out of this content, we're going to keep bringing you great value. And until next time, Mindset Rebooted.
Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right and you still go with it, then that is on you.